Welcome into another edition of Hot Hoops, the post-Valentine's Day special, alongside of John Franklin, women's basketball beat reporter, and Dylan Fearon, men's basketball beat reporter. I'll be your host, Maury Hirsch-Gordon, today, and we have a lot to talk about. Men's basketball, women's basketball. We have a 12-game winning streak. We have a potential Rookie of the Year candidate, a potential Coach of the Year candidate, a men's basketball team that is just down spiraling to the basement of the MAC. So let's get started first on the women's basketball side of things. And John, a 12-game winning streak that has revitalized the program that won 30 games a year ago.
Maury, it all starts, we've talked about it all year, Florida Gulf Coast game, second half. The team looked like it changed, the game plan changed, the mindset changed. And from there, it's been a good season rolling for the Bobcats. It's been a new sort of system, a new game plan that Tricia Fabbri is implementing into the minds of these young players. It started shooting outside. It was always looking for the three ball, everybody trying to put up the big shot. But now it's changed. It's young players working down low, and McClure and Stromine. Get the ball into the post, run your splits, get the ball to the outside. That's going to open up the three ball. Instead of chucking up 10, 12 threes per player, you're working the ball down low, post moves, get it to the glass, and then kick it outside.
Dylan, he brings up a lot of key stats, the three-pointers specifically from the 12-game winning streak that started on January 2nd and now to present day, February 15th. Quinnipiac's improved its three-point percentage from 26.8% to 30.9%. Is that the biggest difference in the 12-game winning streak, or is it something else?
It's everything. I mean, this is a very young team. I mean, talking about they lost 5 starters from a year ago from a team that went to the NCAA tournament. So you're talking about a lot of young players, a lot of new players, and players that have never played college basketball or started a game before. So it took time for this team to become what it is today, and they're rolling. And I mean, going into March, the last 2 weeks of the regular season, they're looking very good, and they're only going to get better.
Points per game are up 4 from 62 to 66. The defensive points given up is down from 63.5 to 59. So the defense has been there. The offense has improved. The field goal percentage has improved by 5% from about 32% up to as high as 37%. Turnovers per game are down. So totally a revitalization. And one of the key players in that is Erin McClure. And Tricia Fabbri changed up her offense to help Strautmane and McClure down low.
Well, Maury, the big thing to help her down low has been the revitalizing, the reorganization of the locker room, in my opinion. I heard Mount McGillivray actually said that the team's having a lot more fun. They have a lot more energy, and I think that energy has definitely helped McClure transition from a high school senior into a strong, highly touted freshman, and definitely one of the potential Rookie of the Year honorees.
Well, there was a lot of hype surrounding her when she came to Quinnipiac, and so you're talking about someone coming to the Division I level, a lot of hype surrounding you. You just lost 5 starters. You were just in the NCAA tournament 2 out of the last 3 years. So there's a little pressure on you. And they didn't have any starters from last year. And you're talking about Carly Fabbri is now playing big-time minutes. You've got Strautmane, McClure, all these young players that never played big-time minutes before or college basketball. There's a lot of pressure. And so it takes 20 games to get to where she really needed to be. And now she's rolling. She's one of the best players in the MAC. Honestly, you can make a case for her to be a first-team All-MAC. Probably second team, but definitely I think the best rookie in the MAC, either her or Strautmane. There's not really a whole lot of other rookies. Iona, Fairfield, some of the top teams in the MAC will have solid freshmen, obviously, but I think McClure is clearly the best freshman in the MAC.
In the 12-game winning streak, just a few stats. McClure is averaging about 12 points a game, almost 8 rebounds a game, a little over 2.5 assists, 1.6 blocks, 1.25 steals. So across the board in all 5 categories of the game, she's dominating both offensively and defensively. Do you see her being the leading contender of Rookie of the Year, and can she keep it up the last 5 games?
Absolutely. I think she's the go-to player for this team, no doubt about it. Even as a young player, like you said, Fabri's playing big minutes. That's huge, especially as a captain, sophomore, filling her role. But McClure has the Rookie of the Year stats to do it. She has the talent to do it, and especially running that ball through the post, I don't see her losing it.
She's been so good in so many different categories. You just read off all those stats. It's kind of like a Draymond Green. You're not the best scorer, you're not the best rebounder, but you can do a whole multitude of things. You can play a lot of minutes. You don't get in a lot of foul trouble. She can do so many things to help this team, and she's just rolling right now.
And Maury, one stat that you didn't note, McClure is second on the team in assists right now. That's unbelievable for a down-low player. Right. She's looking to kick it, not just put it up and get it to the basket.
Well, I think that's a result of the 1-4 isolation set that Fabbri ran a lot last year with Nicolai Ostergaard, when they'll post up McClure on a block, and then they'll have 4 along the wing with a shooter in the corner. McClure can beat someone off the bounce. She can have a jump pass, skip to an opposite wing or corner, or just take it down the lane. So with her potentially being a Rookie of the Year candidate, probably her biggest, we were talking before the show, her biggest competition is Paula Strautmane on her own team. With the pieces that Fabbri has, as we move on, is Tricia Fabbri a potential Coach of the Year after starting 0-3 and now having won 12 straight?
I think so, absolutely. I think that she's brought this organization into a new kind of feel, a new kind of vibe, as opposed to, like I said earlier, shooting the 3-ball. She's changed it. She's found a new game plan where they don't have to work to shoot the 3, and they don't have like that gold rush system where 5 players are coming on the court every 2 minutes. She's playing her best players. She's changing it around. She's running splits in the post, and I think that's a mark of a good coach. She works to her players' talents, not to what she's used to using in an offensive set. And defensively, they've played great.
That's a good point, and no doubt she's a candidate. But there are a lot of good coaches in the MAC. Just like on the men's side, you've got John Olenowski from Manhattan. They only won 3 games last year. Now they're 9-6, pushing for that first-round bye. Brian Georges of Marist is always up there. They've been good this year without Madeline Blaze, who transferred, was a great player last year. So he's doing well. And Billy Gotzi of Iona. They're first in the MAC, so you can't take away what she's done with the program. A lot of good coaches in the MAC, but obviously Fabbri is a candidate, and I think she'll probably win.
Standings are very close. Iona, Quinnipiac, and Marist with 13, 12, and 12 wins respectively, and then Fairfield with 10, and Manhattan and Siena with 9 each. Those are the top 6, and only 5 will get a first-round bye. Quinnipiac's schedule, though, is going to be tough down the stretch. How important is it to get the number 1 seed to avoid Iona or Marist in the semifinals to face either Fairfield or Manhattan from the 4-5 win if Quinnipiac gets the number 1 and can win in the quarterfinals?
You bring up a great point. They need that number 1 seed, in my opinion. They do play Iona down the stretch one more time, and that's going to be a big game to see where they're going to stand as far as can they beat them in the tournament? Or like I said, I think they need that first-round bye. I don't think they want to play that team. Joy Adams was not a factor as much as she should have been in the game they played here on Lender Court. Lezarazu, the point guard, had a great game, but she turned the ball over a lot. I think they're going to work. They weren't ready to face the Quinnipiac team. They weren't ready for the young talent to really show up. But now that they've seen them, now that they've played them one time, Quinnipiac should be fearing this Iona team a little bit.
I don't think it really matters. I think they're probably one of the most confident teams in the country right now, winning 12 in a row. I think whoever they play, they're going to feel like they have a chance to win. I mean, we talked about they have the best rookie and probably the best coach. So any matchup they go into, they're going to think they have a really good chance of winning. Yeah, you don't want to face them in the semis, and you'd rather have them in the championship game, but it's not going to really matter in my eyes. I think whoever they play, they've got a very good chance of winning rather than losing, and I think they'll be fine.
Dylan, you've been around Quinnipiac basketball a while. Will it pay off down the long run if Quinnipiac drops a game in the regular season to kind of refocus, get back on track before the conference tournament? Because in its last 5 games, 4 of them are in the top 5 right now.
We talked about that last year when they had gotten on the unbeaten MAC streak of 23. Yeah, right, crazy. And we thought, could they use a loss? And they had that Canisius game where it took a Jasmine Martin 3 to send it to overtime, and they had those opportunities where they might drop a game. I don't think with this team it's really going to make that much of a difference. I'd rather have them continue to win. They're very confident going in. They don't need a loss in the back of their mind. I think what we did see last year in the MAC tournament was in the first round against Monmouth or Siena in the next round, they didn't look as great as we had seen in the regular season. So maybe it could benefit them. I don't think it's really a huge thing. I think no matter if they can, come away with 16 straight or if they drop one in the next couple of weeks, I think either way they'll be fine. I think they're going to be rolling right to the MAC tournament.
John?
I completely agree. I don't think losing is going to benefit this team anyway. Tricia Fabbri actually brought it up in the last post-game press conference. She said, the win streak means nothing. It's winning one game at a time. And that's what this team is trying to do. They're trying to take it, win one game at a time, get to the tournament. And bringing up Coach of the Year, she's been there before. She wants to get there again. It's not gonna matter whether or not they lose one game. It's all about winning one game at a time and getting there, getting back to where they've been.
You talk about experiencing losses. Last year's team had only lost a couple of games early on in the season, so it might have benefited them to lose one at the end. This team's already lost a few non-conference games a couple early on. I think they've already experienced what it means to lose a couple in a row, and to fight back from that, I think they'll be fine.
One game at a time brings us to the Marist game, which is Thursday night, the MAC women's basketball game of the week. That'll be a 5 o'clock tip at Lender Court up at York Hill in the TD Bank Sports Center. I'm looking back at the box score from game 1. Quinnipiac hit 5 threes in the first half, plays well, out to an 18-17 lead at the first quarter. Played an okay first half, down a few, but then the second half just kind of disappeared. Tori Giroux's a monster. Marist has two of the top scoring leaders. So what is it going to take from the Bobcats to come around with a W this time out?
Well, you noted Torrey Jaros has been unbelievable in the MAC. Won a few Players of the Week awards, if I do remember correctly. And I think the big thing for this team, especially playing Marist, is going to be coaching. We talked about Coach of the Year again. I bring it up again. But a big thing is going to be playing the entire game. They've averaged, you said, 5 threes in that first game they scored. They're averaging 7 threes now, Quinnipiac. It's a new team. It's revitalized, like I said.
It was 5 in the first half, 7 for the game.
Oh, 7 for the game. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, so they're still averaging on their numbers.
Yep.
But I believe that they can beat this Marist team if they can play the full game. It's not the gold rush system anymore. It's playing your best players. That's why I think they're going to beat Marist.
I think they're going to beat Marist too. You're at home, and that team early on in the season, such a completely different team. You're talking about such an inexperienced ball club that only loses by 9 on the road to a team that was in the championship game last year, and you're a completely different team, even though you're in the championship game. I think they'll be fine. They're at home. They're comfortable. They're riding this long win streak. They'll be fine. The thing, Jaros is unbelievable. 18 points, 12 boards. Sidney Coffey also second in the MAC in scoring. So you're going to have to try to stymie them. It's going to be hard to stymie those two, but if you can make sure everyone else doesn't have a strong game, then you have a very good chance of winning.
Quinnipiac with 6 players that average over 6 points a game, and then that's not even mentioning Brittany Martin, what she can do, or if Adele Thornton comes back, or Morgan Manns is at just about 5 and change. So Quinnipiac definitely deeper than Marist. Marist has the 2 top scorers in the conference, but only has 4 that average more than 6 points. Once again, that's Thursday night. Quinnipiac in the 2nd spot right now. If the season ended today, Marist in the 3 spot, but Quinnipiac controls its destiny from here on out. Now let's switch sides to the men's team, a totally different scenario. Tom Moore enduring one of his toughest, most challenging seasons. Dylan, let me start with you. I know you focus a lot on the men's team. 3 tough losses. Take me through them and why Quinnipiac was unable to get the wins late down the stretch.
Well, the St. Peter's game, they're in it the entire game. They're leading back and forth game, and then with 3:16 to go, they just fall apart. And they didn't have the timeouts, and they're starting to fall apart. And St. Peter's goes on this tremendous scoring run. Quinnipiac can't get anything to go into the net, and their defense just, stopped, flawed. So, that's a tough one. All these games that they're losing, they're in it for 30, 32 minutes, and then they fall apart. It's not like they're down 15, 20 points in the first half. They're in it for most of the game, and then they just cannot take it for 40 minutes, and that's a lot of inexperience. That's just not, getting it together for a full game. I think the Iona game, on Monday night was just, Iona's very good. AJ English didn't have anything going in the first half. I will credit this to Quinnipiac. They do a great job stopping other teams' star players. Justin Robinson, AJ English, Marquise Wright, players. Khalid Hart, Marcus Gilbert.
Yeah.
They do a really good job stopping the other team's best players. It's just the other role players they just seem to get on a nice roll. Jihad Proctor of Iona, the freshman, has had 2 great games against Quinnipiac when these 2 teams have played this season. I just think they're in it for 30 minutes, against Iona probably for more like 25, and they just cannot get it together for a full 40, and that's why they lose games.
John, the guard play or the forwards?
I got to go with the forwards. The forwards are the biggest spot for Quinnipiac right now. You look at Chase Daniels, he's been hurt. He's trying to get back into it. That knee's bothering him. It's hard for him to really get down in the post. He did score 28 on Fairfield. That's a big game. Another guy, Abdullah Bundu, who's been very good. He looks to draw the foul in the paint, and that's going to be huge if he could hit his free throws, really control the game. One thing that I've noticed, most notably against Fairfield, double overtime game. They're in it the entire way, like you said, Dylan. Then the last play of the game, a total breakdown by the basket. Guard drives, kicks it for a 3, rebound, right to Fairfield, pass down low, and 1. They lose the game by 2 points. You can't have that happen. That's guys who have to box out. They have to know they've been there before. Run your fundamentals, do your job in the paint, get the boards, and that's how you're going to win games.
Quinnipiac 8-16 overall, just 5-11 in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. 4 games remaining for the Bobcats. Two against 2 teams in the top 5 of the conference, 2 against teams seeded 6 through 11 as of right now. Quinnipiac just 2 games out, though, of a potential 7 spot, or 3 games out of the 6 spot, but also just a game out of the 10 spot. So what can Quinnipiac salvage down the stretch, Dylan? It has 2 more games at home, 2 more games on the road. St. Peter's and Siena are really good. Manhattan is really good in March. Other than the Marist win, that's pretty much a given. Where do you see this team finishing?
I see them finishing 9th, which is what they are right now. I think they'll go 2-2. I think they'll lose to Siena on the road. They're just very good, and Quinnipiac is just not at their level right now. And even without Marquise Wright, Siena's a very, very good team. I think they'll beat Marist, even on the road. Marist just is not right there yet. They're so young. And I think they'll split one of the home games between St. Peter's and Manhattan. We saw them play well against Manhattan for most of the game, and then they fall by 7 at the end. And we've seen them play well against St. Peter's for most of the game, and then they fall at the end. So I think they'll split one of those at home. They are 1-7 in their last 8 road games. So Marist, although you said is a given, I don't think it's a given just because of the way they've been playing away from home. But I think they'll split. They'll go 2-2. They'll probably finish 9th. At most, with 2-2, you can finish 8th if Canisius, who's in 8th right now, goes 1-3 and drops off. But it's going to be 8 or 9. You'll play the 8 or 9, and it's at a neutral site, so it won't really matter. I think you'll play Canisius in the first round.
John?
I think the 2 key games in this 4-game span is going to be the 2 road games. I know Marist is one of them. Like we said, that's going to be a gimme, potentially a gimme.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they win those 2 games on the road, it's going to get them more prepared for come tournament time. Like you said, neutral site, they are traveling in that instance. So I think the road games are going to be key. The home games, it'd be nice to win them, but I don't see them finishing higher than 9th. I agree with Dylan.
It'd be great to see how Quinnipiac plays on the road in its last game of the regular season, because that's a game against Siena at the Times Union Center where the MAC tournament will be held. So Quinnipiac goes to Siena, comes back to Hamden, preps for the MAC tournament, and then we'll go right back there in early March. So what spot is it best to finish? I mean, sometimes finishing a little lower and playing, if Quinnipiac finishes at the 9 and finishes and plays the 8th seed to then win and face Monmouth, the 1, who Quinnipiac has played tough, or is it better if Quinnipiac finishes 10 to then potentially play Iona at the 2, or if it can win out? What spot does it matter if you can win the first game and get to the quarterfinals?
It honestly doesn't matter because every game in the MAC, aside from maybe Monmouth or Iona, is a complete coin flip. I mean, Jimmy Patsos has said it before. You know, Siena played Wisconsin and Duke their first 2 games of the season, and he said after that, every game they have a coin flip chance of winning. And that's kind of what Quinnipiac's situation is. Every game they have a solid chance of winning, but also you could just see them losing. Like these 4 games, I could see them going 3-1. I could see them going 0-4. That's just the way the MAC is set up, aside from a Monmouth or an Iona. And even they've played those teams well. I don't think the seed matters. I think you just got to get to the MAC tournament this one because the regular season has been just such a whirlwind and you know, a carnival, a circus. It's been crazy. You just got to get to Albany and take your chances.
I couldn't have described it any better. Coin flip, perfect words. Because you look at these teams, no one team really outshines another team. Like you said, other than Monmouth and Iona, no one team outshines another team. And that's why I believe this Quinnipiac team could be a bracket buster, potentially. Because when they shoot the ball from outside and they shoot it well, they're tough to beat. They hang with anyone that they could play with. Right. I think that's why they're going to be a good team come MAC tournament time.
And the thing that Quinnipiac has that not all other teams have is great defense. And we saw that last year with St. Peter's getting to the semifinals against the Manhattan team and putting themselves in position to win and go to the championship game. St. Peter's defense last year was great, and that's what propelled them to get to the semifinals. I think Quinnipiac could do the exact same thing that St. Peter's did last year. Their defense is great. If they can get the 2-point shooting up and even the 3-point shooting, they have a solid chance. I mean, you can't count them out.
St. Peter's, a low seed, got to the semifinals, beat a Rider team that was dominant all regular season. Yes, they lost Matt Lopez, but a guard-heavy team in Rider with a ton of scores all down the list. Kevin Baggett, a tremendous job that he did last year. But again, yes, Quinnipiac could be the St. Peter's of this year, but that's all the time we have for today. 2 teams at the opposite parts of the standings, but a tribute to you guys for all of the continued effort and coverage. So we thank you. Once again, John Franklin, you can find him out on Twitter at HeyIt'sFranklin and at Dylan Fearon. It is at DylanFearon_. Thanks for watching Hot Hoops. You can check out more information on our website at Q30television.com, and you can also find us online at Q30 Television, at Q30 Sports on Twitter, and at Q30 Sports on Facebook. If you want to check out anything that I have to say, not like it really matters or anything, but that's at Mahirsch, MAHHERSH. Once again, for John Franklin, Dylan Fearon, I'm Maury Hirsch-Gordon. We'll see you next time.